Hi everyone, Boomer here for Carvel Gaming, and I'm with Lee again.
Hello.
And we're going to be going through the Ruby cards. We've got a new wallpaper, and that's got to mean new cards, right, Lee?
Yeah, I guess so. Zoltog is one of my favourite characters.
What's his backstory anyway? Is there a backstory to it?
He's a badass orc with a big axe.
Yeah,
That's all I needed to know.
that's pretty much all you need to know, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
He creates savage raiders somehow as well, so he's obviously very fertile. Leave you with
He
that.
makes love to you and makes raiders.
Yeah, leave you with that thought. Oh well, first up we have Ashwood Blademaster.
It's a bit overcosted at 3, but I think he's fine.
I think in sealed and limited, sealed especially, where removal is going to be a lot more of a premium. I think in constructed he's a bit slow, but I think in limited this guy is
Oh yeah, it's fine for limited, yeah.
nightmarish. The fact he's Swift Strike as well just makes him so hard to block.
So there's a weird theme. I'll point it out as we go through in Ruby. The whole Ruby as a colour feels like 2 colours, this set.
The thing is, with this guy that I can see, that he's fine in the early game, just because he's like a dude that threatens, but he's also amazing in the late game because you just make your elves like just ridiculous. You use him as kind of a mini overrun.
In limited with this guy, you go make him on turn 3, turn 4 attack. Do you want to block my potentially 3/1 for striker?
Yeah, or may have any number of tricks which will totally blow you out if you block. So,
I just don't think he gets blocked on turn 4.
Yeah, I don't think you can. I don't think you can risk blocking it. It's just a... And so that also brings into the fact that you can then start doing things like bluff attacking with it.
Yeah, I think he's cracking in limited.
Yeah.
He's cracking Gromit.
Next up we have Ashwood Maestro. Some very high risk stuff. 3/1 for 2, which is pretty big, you know. But at the start of each champion's turn they gain 2 resources that they can only use that turn.
I think this has potential.
It definitely has potential, certainly against decks that want to sit on counter magic.
I think you've got to make this more broken for you than you want to do for your opponent.
Yes, I think that's...
But you will get people going, oh, I get 2 free resources, how cool. This is in constructed, by the way. Yeah. You never play this guy in limited, ever.
Yeah, because your opponent makes a 5-drop on turn 3.
Yeah, they get it first, so...
Yeah, it's like your opponent makes a 4-drop and kills your guy and you feel very sad.
But... he will be mentioned in the wild video, I assume.
He will be mentioned in the wild video, yeah. Lee can't wait until we get onto the wild video. He's literally grabbing his desk going, tell them about the wild cards.
Yes, very much so.
Especially since wild has seen like no play in months in the constructed event. It's great seeing some decent wild cards coming through.
Pick up your staples now, guys.
Next up is Ashwood Soloist. When this attacks, gain 1 naught.
So it's like they've got those 2 guys, right?
Yeah.
And then half the other stuff's aggressive, then half the other guys, again, boosting your resources. And it's a bit like, what am I doing?
Yeah, it's like, am I ramping or am I making guys? What am I doing? The other thing is you have to gauge, and this is one of the problems with doing the set review the way we have, is that you have to gauge the guys based on champion power. Just to spoil it right now, the Wild Ruby champion has this ability as its charge power, gain 1 naught.
For 3.
For 3
it's
charges.
ridiculous. Absolutely
ridiculous. And I can actually see them nerfing it. I think that it's overpowered. There are some other tricks which we will go into. You know, if there's specific tricks, we will go into those when we review the champions. But if there's a trick like this one where it completely influences the entire strategy you draft with, we've basically just had to reveal it. And that's the Wild Ruby ability, and it's insane. It is absolutely insane.
And like again for that deck, you've got super powerful 5-drops all over the place in these colours.
Yeah. Next up, you have Bombright. So even though this guy costs 4, he actually costs 3 because of the ability that you play in usually. So if something costs 4 or 5, a lot of the time you have to like you have to sort of down the cost by 1 because of the sheer quantity of ramp there is in this set.
It does feel like they took that into consideration with the design.
It does.
Because this guy at 3
would be
being made a 2, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. This deals 1 damage to target champion or troop. He's a Tim, as is the colloquial for it. Timmy. If you don't know what that is, go and watch Monty Python and the Holy Grail. We'll wait for you. Next.
Well, Mine was from South by. Yours from Monty Python.
Yeah, I'm older than you. So this guy, I think limited, he's absolutely fine.
I like him in limited. I pick him quite high.
Yeah, you can also if you can actually put this guy into a ruby blood deck with the lethal guy and just have exhaust kill a creature. So nice little combo there. Next up, one of my favorites is Boomsmith. This guy's ridiculous.
Yep, but he doesn't. The reason his body is so small is because he's coming down on turn 3.
Yeah, he's coming down on turn 3 and killing something on turn 3. So yeah, he's very good, very good for limited. Constructed, not seeing it. Limited, oh maybe. I mean, I don't know, but
I can see maybe being in the sideboard.
Yeah, I can see it being in the reserves potentially, because the thing is, the difference between this and Bombsmith, where Bombsmith only does 1 damage, it is not enough to kill a lot of the good stuff. This will kill a lot of the good stuff. You know, it will kill a Mirror Knight, it will kill a Buccaneer, it will kill a Thunderbird or something like that. It'll kill a Corpse Fly when it comes into play without losing card advantage. You know, there are things that this can do. It'll kill like the 2/2 Wild Croc when it comes into play. It's like, you want to fight? I'll just shoot you from a long way away. Next up we have Cerberus, 5 mana 1/4 with Crush and Rage 1, and it deals triple damage.
He's fine.
Yeah,
He comes in and does 6 damage.
The thing is, you've also got to think about... the good thing is, if this guy was 1 ruby, I think it'd be ridiculous. Because you've got all the ramp that's in wild currently, but because he's double ruby, it makes it a little bit harder to shove him in a deck with other ramp cards. Because you've got to think, this guy could potentially be hitting as early as turn 3. Fortunately, he doesn't have speed. If he had speed, he'd be absolutely bonkers. But I don't know. I think he might just be. I think 5s are too much for constructed. This guy, I think.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get played in constructed.
I think he'd have to have speed to be played in constructed. But limited, definitely you're going to play him because his 4 toughness makes him really hard to deal with, and he's going to punch stuff in limited. He's just going to get out. It's like, get out of the way. You can't block this guy profitably. Yeah, you're gonna. I mean, he's legendary anyway, so you got to pick it up in constructed just for the value. Pick it up in limited just for the value anyway. Next up is Charkha. I believe we've spoken with this guy. As long as you've got a way to exhaust all your mana each turn, like say for example with that elf we've talked about, 6/6 for 5 with rage 3, is pretty enormous.
He is a big boy.
I think you might see this guy come into play again. Like, if a flash deck is a thing, you might see this guy be a huge guy. It's like, you might want to actually play some stuff now. You know, so yeah, I can see this guy being like a reserve card potentially for constructed. If
maybe.
You know, if decks which want to hold open a lot of mana are a thing in constructed, which, you know, if Sapphire is a thing, that is a deck that wants to hold open mana. So I can certainly see this guy potentially seeing play. He could also just be like a straight up finisher in an aggro deck, but the aggro decks will generally not have ways to exhaust all their mana. So definitely ups and downs to this guy. He's hard. This guy is actually very hard to evaluate without seeing what the format looks like, because he could either be utter gash or he could be something you definitely need.
If you can spend all your resources, he's good because he's a 6/6 for 5, obviously.
Yeah, or 9/6 or 12/6 or whatever. Yeah. If you can't or you have doubts about it, I think he might be too high risk. Next up, Deadeye Ripper. 1/1 with speed, and he can shift his ability to give speed.
This guy's really good in limited.
Yeah. Especially with all the like 4 and 5 drops that you wouldn't mind giving speed. Next up, Death Mask Assailant. This can't be blocked by troops with power less than this troop's power. This guy feels good in limited again. He actually feels like he could be played in constructed as well in like a serious aggro deck.
Yep.
You know, any guys that are difficult to block tend to find their way into aggro decks eventually. Even like even creatures that are as bad as like a 1/1, which when it attacks you can pay 1 and make a 1 creature unable to block it, have seen play in constructed. So this can definitely see play as well, I think. And his ability again on something with rage, that ability seems really powerful. So you just use this guy early game and then like power it up late game. Next up, Tristas Duke. Seems like a lot of text for a card that isn't that great, unless there's something we're missing. It's basically, yes, you can put it on like a really fat guy. I suppose you could put it on like a fight guy, or you could put it on your boomsmith, and like you make a copy of a boomsmith, it shoots something for 2, and then you have to attack with both your boomsmiths. Yeah, so I could definitely see you getting like value out of this card, but I think you have to have something to shift it onto in order for it to be good.
See, the problem with this is we haven't got a chance. It's one of those cards we'd have to try out to tell you if it's good, and it's got all the world's kind of bugs.
Yeah, so it doesn't work again. But I think that it's one of those cards. It doesn't require as much setting up as like spiders do, but it's one of these cards that requires, to me, a lot of setting up if you want to get the most out of it. There are obviously going to be ways in which it's really good, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. You certainly can't just play it as a 2/2 on 4. It's going to be bad, but there are certainly ways you can make it good. And again, it's going to be with all like the 1/8/7 monsters. Next up is Ember Tears. When this enters play, deal 3 damage to each opposing champion. At the start of your turn, deal 1 to each opposing champion. Not seeing it for 5.
Oh,
No,
it's bad.
Next up is Emberleaf Duelist. When this is attacking, it has Swift Strike. 2/1 for 2. Fine. Again,
I really like this guy a lot.
Yeah, again, he's really tough to block as an aggro 2-drop, and
I can see him getting played in constructed as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's another guy who's difficult to block, who costs 2. So, yep, can see this guy seeing play, definitely. Again, I think Diamond has the monopoly on the efficient troops, but Ruby obviously has the burn to back it up. So,
And the first strike.
and the Swift Strike, yeah. Well, Diamond has Swift Strike as well on a lot of its guys. It has like the Highland Shinobi, and it has the 2/2 from this set as well. Next up, Emberleaf War Dancer. 5 mana, 4/3 with Crush. 1 shot for 7 mana.
This guy is amazing in limited.
Yeah, he's a big boy, isn't? Well, she isn't it? She's a big boy. Or girl. She's a big boy, really? No, she's a big girl. And
They're beautiful, you know.
it properly. This can properly turn again, and this is what I was kind of saying. This card, when I was playing against Spiders, he was like, make a couple of low. I was like, drop this turn 3, and then you just smash with it. And I might have a combat trick, might not, might have a combat trick, and then on 7 you can just. You're going to be low on cards at some point, but you can just sink all your mana, make this 6/5 crush, and just keep killing them. So I think this is fine. I don't think it's busted or anything, but I think it's fine in construction. For a common card, it's fine as well. You're going to pick them up. Next up, Fiery Indignation. 2 mana, deal 2 damage to a troop. If you control a card with 5 or better, it deals an additional 3 to that troop.
It's very good.
Yep, it is. Do you think it's first pick material in Limited?
It's close. It's very close. It's fine when you just do the 2 damage.
But it's ridiculous.
When you're doing the 5 damage, it's
absurd, yeah. So, yeah, and again, synergy, if you pick up a Rampy style deck, this is going to just get better and better and better and better and better. And it's not like removal's a bad thing anyway. And it feels like it's very limited in this set, the removal. I think they might have learnt their lesson a bit with set 1, where it was just all removal all the time. And weak creatures. Next up is First Blood. Create 2 Scarless Raiders and put them into play. This is a Scarless Raider.
It's very poor.
It does feel pretty poor, doesn't it? It's basically Raise the Alarm but worse, isn't it? It's a 3 mana. It's basic as well. It makes a what do you call it? It makes a bad it makes a bad 2/2, a bad grey ogre, which is saying a lot. It doesn't even get affected if you have Giles. If you've already used Giles' abilities, these guys come into play as 1/1s, not 2/1s.
Yeah.
So,
It just doesn't really work that well.
It doesn't feel that way, does it? No.
I suppose it's okay the turn before you go feast. I guess. I don't know. It just feels bad.
Yeah.
It feels like they were trying to achieve something and failed.
Yeah. Maybe they were feeling that at 2 it'd just be ridiculous, but at 3 it's pretty bad at 3. Next up, Flamehand Invoker. 2/1 for 2. Once per turn, X. This gets +X power. And it shifts it as well.
I think this is really, really, really good in an aggro deck.
It's another 2/1 for 2, and this one has a, I will kill you.
Yeah.
I can kill you.
Like I was saying, the Ruby just seems schizophrenic. It's like, has all these cards that just say, I will kill you dead.
And then it has all the cards which go, wait a minute, I'll kill you dead in a minute while I cast this big fat thing. I think it's got the necrotic seem to be the aggro, and the elves seem to be the ramp in this set. In this colour.
Well, the elves are the band, aren't they?
Yeah. Next up, Flaring Passions. Gain control.
This is an amazing sideboard card.
Gain control of target opposing troop. Ready it. It gets speed at the end of your turn. A random opposing champion gets it back. Yeah, really good sideboard card.
And the Mancubus makes another return for disturbingly sexy art.
Well, people have been complaining about overt female objectification in the game, so there you go, girls.
Or gay men.
Or gay men, true. Given the recent law in America being passed as well.
Which is happy days.
Which is, yep. Gain control of target opposing troop. Definitely good. And you
can top your curve in an aggro deck, or it can be a sideboard card.
Yeah, if your opponent has that one troop, which is super annoying, like a Vampire King, or something along those, or an Uranaz, or something like that, or a Tianos. Nicking Tianos with this is insanely funny.
Or any way of killing the guy you're robbing as well is really good.
If you have a sacrifice outlet or anything like that, it is... this definitely has potential. These sort of cards have always been very good in as ways to finish off the control deck. And I don't see this being any different. Next up is Fury Seeker, 4/4 Rage 1 speed for 6. I think it costs 1 mana too much.
I think it costs 5 because you're playing it in Wild.
There is that.
In which case he's actually very good.
And he's common as well. So
he's really good, really, really good filler.
Yeah. I think you might get him sort of 6th or 7th pick, sort of around that area. So, he'll be good to pick up there, sort of late, sort of mid draft filler as well. I think he'll be fine. And now we get onto the card with so many abilities I had to put it at the top of the screen. Highlands Black Belt. It's a 2/1 for 2. Seems fine. And it has basic one-shot. Choose one of Sting of the Manticore, Wing of the Phoenix, or Breath of the Dragon. Breath of the Dragon is, my master deals damage equal to this power to target opposing troop. So it's 2 mana, shoot something for 2. Seems fine. Sting of the Manticore is, this deals double damage this turn. And Wings of the Phoenix is, this gets flight, and when it deals damage to an opposing champion, it deals 1 damage to each opposing troop this turn. This feels powerful.
This card's amazing. I really, 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 really like it. And this is actually the first time I've seen it.
Yeah, this seems super good. It's like, you can either, sorrow your opponent's board, hit your opponent for 4, assuming you haven't buffed it, or you can shoot a creature that's in the way. Seems really good. It really does seem good here. I'm trying to come up with something that I don't think this is good. No, this is good. It's a human as well, so fits in that sort of strategy.
I just think it's amazing in any kind of red deck.
Yeah. There might should be a warrior deck thinking about it coming in, because they are bringing there are cards which focus on the secondary type, and warrior might even be a type to think about. Because I think the other 2 ones are like elf warriors and things like that, so you might see Giles working with some warriors soon. But yeah, I think this card's really good. They're sort of trying to bring out these super efficient 2-drops, aren't they? So that Living Totem isn't the only one that gets played. It does kill Living Totem as well, so... what else are we doing here? Lunge is next. Target troop gets +2 power and swift strike. This is great.
Yeah.
Limited, great card. It pretty much says kill target troop that's blocking. Really good card, really good card. And it, you know, the +2. I mean, Adrenaline Rush was fine anyway, and this Adrenaline Rush wasn't basic, was it? No, but Adrenaline Rush was fine anyway, and this is -1 cost for just -1 power. And I think it's going to do exactly what Adrenaline Rush did anyway, except it's going to be quicker. And again, it just seems like combat in this set is going to be really hard because there's so many like properly good tricks. So I don't know what you think on that, but it does feel like it's seriously hard.
Yeah, you've got to be really careful. Yeah. And pick actual combat tricks quite highly.
Yeah. And and this will also separate people out. It's like the people who play something pre-combat then attack. It's like, even if you don't have a combat trick, don't play something before combat. It's like, unless it has speed, because this is a set where you can bluff attacks so freely, because there are so many combat tricks. Your opponent just really cannot block into open mana. I mean, I'm saying can't, but people still will. Yeah. It's like, how many people do you think are going to fail the idiot test in this set?
Quite a few.
Next up, Mechanized Demolisher. It's a 7-mana 6/4. Not good. It's like, when this enters play, create 2 demolitions and put them in your hand. No, I'm not seeing it. I'm really not seeing it. 7 mana is way too much for this. Agree? Disagree?
Yeah. If it costs... Thing is, even if you're looking at it costing 6, I just don't think demolition does anything.
No, it just doesn't, does it? It's like... It doesn't even see play in sideboards, and usually you'd think it might see play in those, trying to knock back the control decks, but it just doesn't happen. And, you know, a 6/4 is going to trade with like a 4-drop. So it doesn't feel good to me, doesn't feel good. I want my 7-drops to say win the game on them, and this doesn't say win the game. Next up is Mind Pyre. Constant. When an opposing champion draws a card, deal 1 damage to that champion. I am now sad because I cannot draw as many cards as I wanted to.
I can see it being a sideboard card.
Definitely against the decks that want to draw a load of cards.
Maybe comboed with Cerebral Fulmination. I don't know.
Yeah, there might be a deck like that.
I don't think it's a good deck, though.
Maybe not,
It's rubbish in limited and very, very niche and constructed.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is that those sort of decks I think it's an anti-control card. You know, it's one of those things that you probably bring into your beatdown deck to have sort of the inevitability of you are going to die very shortly. Plus, constants are harder to remove than troops are. So yeah, I can certainly see it coming in as basically, you know, it's you probably bring in like this and Cerebral Fulmination. It's like, I'm just going to constantly put you under pressure, and you're eventually just going to lose to this. I can see it. I can really see it. I really can. But you know, because with Cerebral Fulmination, you're relying on the fact that you can use your mana better than your opponent can. And with this, you basically go, well, yes, you're drawing cards, but you're slow to win the game. So once you're going to stabilize the game on 5 or 6 life, and then you're just going to die. Probably won't work against the Sapphire decks, because the Sapphire decks can kill you very quickly.
It's probably quite good against, if you cast this and then Wrath, then Extinction of Board that they made after they made a Mirror Knight. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, like deal 7 to you. But then again, they drew 7 cards, and you're playing a control deck.
Yeah. I just don't think this card's good.
Next up, we have Playing with Fire. 3 mana constant. When you play a card with cost 5 or greater, deal 2 damage to a champion or troop.
I think it's bad.
Yeah, it probably is bad. You'll get you might get 2 or 3 activations out of it, and if you're playing and resolving 5 drops, you're probably winning anyway.
It's like, what does it matter if you shoot something for 2?
Yeah. It doesn't. Unless it's lethal. Unless the creature's lethal, right? Next up, Pyronight. 4 mana, 3/2. When this enters play, all troops you control get +1 attack this turn.
It's very good for going wide strategies.
Yeah.
I really like it. I think it's fine if you've got 3 guys. If you've got an aggressive Ruby deck and you play this and you bump 2 guys, I think it's fine.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's fine. You're just lucky to deal damage early and then just have a wide enough strategy to finish them off. So fine and limited. Constructed, I mean, it's a potential finisher. It's just like Giles, isn't it? I mean, you can go like Giles this and attack for an absolute boatload. But I think there might be better things you want to do there. But it's always worth keeping it in the back of your mind. Next up, Quas Ridge Tusker, 0/1 with Rage for 1. When this attacks, another target attacking creature you control gets +X equal to this troop's power this turn. Seems fine.
I am not 100% on whether this card's really good or really bad.
I think he's fine. I mean, he's going to get the first.
If they make a
attack.
2-power guy on turn 2 and you're going second, you're in trouble. If you're going first with this guy, he's amazing.
You are sad, but you probably have a burn for that, right? You know, you got Burn and Crackling Bolt on turn. I mean, that's the whole thing about. It's the whole thing about Ruby is that you can just like get, as long as you get stuff out of the way and get to deal any amount of damage with your creatures, you're usually fine. You only need to do like 10 to 12 damage with your early guys, because then you can just finish them off with Reach. So I think this guy's probably okay. There's another 1-drop Orc, so now you've got like Ridge Raider, Savage Raider, and you've got this guy as well. So, you know, there might be some sort of... And you've got the Blood one as well, so you've got like Psycho Blood Orc Rush deck might be a thing.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got the potential infinite combo card, Quetzal Gorecaster. 4/6 with Flight. When a champion is dealt non-combat damage, create a Scarlet Raider for each damage dealt and put them into play. I should probably explain how the infinite combo works. 2 set 2 cards. I think it's set 2 cards. Anyway, you have Heart of Fire, which is 3 mana. Whenever a champion is dealt non-combat damage, gain an amount of mana equal to the damage dealt. And Born to Die, which is 1 mana, sacrifice a creature, deal 1 damage to target player. So you basically play this guy, it'll be on 8 unfortunately, but you play this guy on 8, sacrifice a creature, deal 1 damage, create a Scarlet Raider, gain 1 mana, sacrifice the Scarlet Raider, and you just turbo it and kill your opponent. But that feels like it costs 8 and isn't a thing in Constructed.
Yeah.
It's like it costs 8 and relies on 2 incredibly bad cards to go off. So yeah, I mean, obviously the guy's powerful in the guy's fairly powerful in Limited because he's a 4/6 flyer, but even for 7, that's still a lot. You know, that is a lot, and you're not going to be dealing non-combat damage in Limited anyway, aside from if you've got like the 1/2 who's pinging away. So I think he's very flashy. There is an infinite combo with him, but, you know, just because it's an infinite combo doesn't mean it's good. Speaking of cards which, maybe not infinite combo, but slightly combo-y, Scorched. 0 mana, deal 1 damage to target champion or troop.
Again, can't decide whether this is really good or not.
I mean, it's free, isn't it? I mean, that's... I think in Limited you're not going to play, but it's like, it's the things you can do with potentially things like Renlock and things like that have people looking at this card second. You know, having people give this a second look because of cards like Renlock. No, I honestly don't know. I feel like, again, it's a card which needs a lot of setting up. It's free, which always leads you to think there might be something here, but we don't know yet. For Limited, I think there's going to be better things you can take, especially at Uncommon. Next up, Scraptooth Cackler, 4/1 for 3. It's bad.
Rubbish, but awesome artwork.
Yeah. Next up, Skewer. This card's really good.
I really like this.
Yeah, deal 3 damage to target troop. If it has defense 1 or less, deal 3 damage to that troop's controller as well, and it's a quick action. The thing is, with the way defense works in Hex, your defense actually lowers once you've taken damage. So let's say you have a 3/1 with Swift Strike attacking into a 3/4. Your 3-1 with Swift Strike will deal damage to the 3-4, and it will become a 3-1. If you then skewer your opponent's guy, this will deal 3 damage to the controller. At least I think that's the way it works, anyway.
We'll see. We don't know how it works because, again, Car we want to test obviously doesn't work on the test server.
Yeah, I think that might be the way it works because it reduces its defense, doesn't it? So, you know, damage reduces defense. It doesn't, like, put damage onto it. It reduces defense.
Does that mean you can ping your own guy and fizzle Pridefall?
You know what? I might want to try that out. I'm honestly not sure on that front, but it's possible. We'll have to test these things out on the servers, but it might be possible. I might actually want to back up on that. We'll see. I think damage might stack. It's weird. It's just because I just thought how it's depicted on Magic Online, and Magic Online reduces the defense as well. So yeah, it might not. That might not be the way it works. So maybe ignore what I just said. But
it may or may not be very, very, very good, but it is definitely good.
It's definitely very good. It might not be very, very good. I mean, I want it to cost 2, but that'd be asking too much.
It's syzygy, man.
Yeah. Well, having said that, though, I mean, you've got a Shinare getting getting pitchforked.
No, he's just cooking it, man.
Yeah, true. Rabbit's healthy, you know.
It's not. It's full of grease and fat. But anyway.
There's no fat on a rabbit.
I really like this card a lot.
Solar Battle. Another combat trick. Target troop you control gets crushed. This deals double damage and bin it at the end of turn. I mean...
What more needs saying?
It's pretty big, isn't it? It's like...
It's also play this with the Stealer guy.
Yep.
Your guy deals double damage, but unfortunately, pal, he's going in the bin.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it's definitely something that you can get quite excited about with certain, especially if you need a way to bag off a guy. You know, you can actually do this on your guy who's been spidered. You know, so I'll just bin him then.
It's the same as just target troop you control.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, come on, then it's a 2-mana removal spell. Come on. In Ruby, you know, 2-mana unconditional quick removal in Ruby. It's like, come on.
You have to play it after their attack step. Right, it hurts.
True. Next up is Staggering Blast. Deal 1 damage to each opposing troop without flight. Damaged troops without flight get this can't block this turn.
This may seem rubbish, but you'll pick them up 15 pick and then laugh at the spider deck when you bring them in.
Yeah, I mean, I think you won't. I don't think you will get it 15th pick because people will be so scared of the spider deck they'll pick it early. I mean, it's also a falter, right? And that's always been fine in limited because limited games, especially if you're up against spiders, tend to grind into a halt.
Do you want to explain what falter means?
Falter is basically any. It was originally a card in Magic the Gathering that said creatures your opponent controls can't block. Since then, it's sort of developed into a, you know, it's developed kind of into a catch-all phrase for a card which says creatures can't block. So this is basically a case of the game has stalled out on the ground. Oh, whoops, I win. And I kill all your spiders as well because screw spiders. Next up, this guy. Another favourite card from Lee.
Yeah, he costs nothing most of the time.
I don't know about nothing, but he will cost.
He really, really does cost nothing.
Have you been using him with Arcane Doobery?
Yeah, I can't think and burn spells and stuff. He's just a really good finisher, a really good blocker as well, actually.
I mean, he's a flight and speed as well, so even if you just cast 2 spells and just play for 2 and hit your opponent with it...
And then he comes back and...
Then he comes back again. I mean, 6 actions is a lot, but if you're playing it in a deck with a lot of actions in it, which you obviously
should
are,
be, yeah.
I think he's a guy that goes in the, you know, the sort of counter-burnish style deck with like Renlock and Burns and probably either Chimes of the... I mean, with Chimes of the Zodiac, it's funny because it actually creates a physical second copy. And Cerebral Fulminations and things like that. And you just
That's what I was playing in.
It's like, I can certainly see that scene playing this guy. Downside, he's legendary, so if he is good, he's going to be 1,500 platinum, as you know, the way it is. But, you know, I think that this guy's definitely got a home.
There's also the outside bet that you Chronic Madness yourself a load, put loads of stuff in the bin and get these back for free. We're making dredge in Hex, Boomer.
Yeah, self-mill. Self-mill is a thing. I mean,
Well, it needs like another 12 good cards, and it's probably a deck.
I mean, the thing is, it's 0 to put it into play. You know, it's 0 to put it into play. So counter Phoenix is a thing, maybe. You never know. Next up, Swordplay. Target troop gets 4 attack permanently.
This is bad.
Yeah, for 4 mana.
It's a bait. If it was an instant, quick action, I'm all over it.
Yeah,
I'd play 7 for that.
It's a, what do you call it though, isn't it? It's a beginner's trap sort of thing. Tribal Warfare. This has changed, I think. Target troop you control and all troops you control that share a trait. Get this deals damage equal to its power to another target troop this turn. And it's a quick action. I think the fact it's a quick action makes this playable.
I think it's a limited bomb.
Yeah. Constructed, not really seeing it. But limited, yeah. You'll pick it up. Twisted Tanta, we've already said this guy's bad and he's still bad.
This is bad.
This guy is just bad and you should feel bad if you play it. Vandalize, 1 destroy an artifact.
Good sideboard card.
Yep, fine sideboard card, absolutely. I think in both limited and constructed it's a decent sideboard card. You might want to play Imp Hoodlums over it though, because like value. Veteran Raider is next. The Veteran's a 3 mana 3/2, so we've seen this. He's a 3/2 that creates Scarlet Raider and puts
It's fine, it's
4/3 for 4 basically. Split into bits. He's alright, he's fine. He's not as good as Veteran Gladiator, but Veteran Gladiator's like super good. Next up is Volley of Arrows. 5 mana, deal 1 damage to target champion or troop for each troop you control. This costs too much.
I think it's a very powerful effect though. If you get the right deck, I think it's very good.
Yeah, true, maybe. I think it's okay for sure, but I think it costs a little bit too much for what it is. It's one of the... I don't feel like it's a win more card, but I feel like it's heading towards that area. Because if you've got like 5 creatures out already, the game has to be like totally stalled. Next up is a sheep. It's a sheeply sheep.
I think this card is potentially busted in constructed.
If you're in a swarm deck.
Yeah.
I
can see playing this guy with the put 2 raiders into play thing.
Yeah, and you're attacking for 5 on turn 3 then, you know. Can definitely happen if you've got like a complete swarm deck. Feels like he wants to be in a Shinari deck.
The thing is, you attack on 5 on 3, and then you go feast and kill them on 4.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a quick clock.
Yeah, that is a pretty quick clock. And next up we've got Yancy, the Tinkerer of Terror.
Like, if you ever get this off, you've probably won.
Yeah, because...
That's murder.
If we want to show you Murdertron, there you go, Murdertron. 4/4 for 5 with Rage 2, Crush and Swift Strike, and a flavor text of murder.
I can see this guy being an amazing sideboard card for against a deck that doesn't commit troops to the board early.
I mean, the thing is, you're in Ruby, so you can always get troops out of the way. I could actually see him potentially in maybe not in a Gore Feast. Well, maybe in a Gore Feast.
Yeah, put in 2 Murdertrons.
Yeah.
I mean, you can play him with Lord Alexander, which seems busted.
Yeah, I mean, well, maybe not, because you have to pay 4 to put the Murdertron into play.
I guess, yeah.
So, you know, he's not going to be busted with that. But it's one of those things where, like, if you can get this guy through, and you will get him through sometimes, the Murdertron requires your opponent to have Extinction. So, you best have Extinction, bucko. And then the problem is your opponents get tied up dealing with the Murdertron, so Yancy just sneaks past again. You know?
I feel like he should have been called Yahtzee.
Yeah. Maybe not. Next up, Secare Swim is the final card we've got. It's a 5 mana socketable major. Target troop transforms into a random troop with all socketed powers of time. This is
Roll the dice.
Roll
put
the
speed
dice.
in it.
Yeah.
Or the deal damage thing.
Yeah.
Get the Calamity guy. It's like 10 you, we're done.
Yeah. Or
more on that later.
Yeah. Get Argus 12 you. You know? But yeah, you're rolling the dice too much for this to be reliable. I think this is probably the worst of these sort of cards. Just because it is too random. But that is it for the Ruby cards. Again, Ruby's, as we mentioned, Ruby's a bit schizophrenic in this set. But some very nice small weenies. I think we do need an aggro deck in Hex. Because that's the problem with Hex Construct at the moment. Everything's mid-range. It's like mid-range or control. There's no like...
Which is why Sapphire is the most powerful thing, because it has the the tools to deal with mid-range and control.
Same with blood. It has extinction, which goes over the top of mid-range. But you know, I suppose we have robots, but robots are just so weak to extinction, and I think we need like a pure aggro deck which can withstand extinction. Because you know, you can like if you're playing orcs, it's like they cast extinction on turn 4, you can go like 5, make a rage guy kill you. You know, that's the sort of thing, or like activate my hero ability, Gore Feast, kill you. You know, that's the sort of thing that we're kind of missing in the set. Is like because Gore Feast is a combo deck. Let's face it. You know, Gore Feast is like a mid-range combo deck.
Yep.
So you know, it's not a straight up like make 1 drop, make 2 drop, make 3 drop raw deck. And I think we kind of need one of those in constructed at the moment.
Maybe it's time to break out the gas trolls again.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I've always had like a little bit of a downer on Gastro because of how much it warps your mana having to play it. But maybe with the new Elf Shard, you know, we might see something. We might see something on that front. So let's be hoping. And that's it for this video, guys. Thanks very much for watching. We'll be back next time with the wild cards, which will make League go wild.
Yeah, the wild one might be a bit of a bigger video.
It might be a gush. It might be a bit of a gushing ceremony. But until then, this is Boomer for Caravel Gaming. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.